Welcome everyone to Kajit's webinar. We're going to focus on libraries today. My name is Morgan Lloyd and I am the VP of Public Sector and Channel here at Kajit. I've been with Kajit for the last 8 years and I'm so excited to present our library solution. Today we're going to be answering the question, does your hotspot lending program need a reboot? And joining me today is Matt Regal. Matt is our solutions engineer for our public sector team. He's been with Kajit for 8 years. He brings a wealth of knowledge, technical knowledge to the library space, having supported and deployed many of our more complex use cases. Also joining us is Grace Peeler. Grace is an account manager here at Kajit and will be sharing her insights and expertise from working closely with our customers over the past 4 years. So welcome and thank you guys for joining us. I look forward to our conversation. I'm going to run through our agenda really quick. Again, I look forward to this conversation. We are going to discuss some of the common challenges in the library lending programs that we're hearing today, different ways to reboot your program, most specifically with Kajit, and we're going to conduct a live demo of our award-winning Sentinel platform. So let's get started. What we are hearing, I really wanted to chat today with Grace, specifically, I want to hear from you. I know I chat with library prospects on a daily basis, and one of the number one challenges that I hear is lack of management tools. Tell me what you're hearing.
Absolutely. Definitely a lack of management tools, issues with being unable to suspend and unsuspend devices, meaning you'd have to go through maybe calling a carrier to do that and then calling them back to have it activated again. I've also heard tracking is very difficult and managing just the group of devices itself is a challenge. And then just the administrative burden as well with student or patrons coming in and maybe handing the hotspot to a librarian and saying this is broken, and the librarian may not have the tools to provide that type of technical support.
That's a really great point. I think just the overarching theme there I see is manual, 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 which is great.
Mhm.
We're going to chat a little bit today about how Kajit eases that and then also show that live demo where you can actually see some of those features. So that's a great segue into our next topic, which is really digging into those signs that I mentioned earlier. So what are those signs that you need a reboot? Starting with the high staff involvement and hard to scale. Tell me more about how Kajit's solution has really addressed those two issues.
So with our solution, all of our devices arrive kitted, ready to go, active, ready to hand out to patrons. So it's a really hands-off process for you all, besides starting to check them in and out of your library. We also provide automated workflows within our Sentinel platform. So that takes a lot of the manual staff involvement out of it, where a device can be checked in and checked out, which allows service to either begin or end on a certain due date. And Matt's going to show us a little bit about that when he goes over the Sentinel platform.
Yes, perfect. All right, the next two, and again, we've coupled these together a bit because we think they play on each other quite well. The multiple system spreadsheets and then that manual activation and suspension, which you touched on a little bit, but tell me more inclusively, how does our Sentinel platform address some of these pain points?
So for the multiple systems and spreadsheets, when you see Sentinel in action, and Matt's going to take us through it, you'll be able to view all of your devices in real time in one place. You can make changes to the devices, notes on the devices, everything is saved. All you have to do is log into your platform. The piece that we saw with the manual activation and suspension, we'll go into this deeper when we do the Sentinel overview, but we can automate that process by using our Media Center check-in and check-out feature.
Amazing. One thing that we didn't necessarily call out here, but it makes me think of when we see that multiple systems, I also think about multiple billing and multiple billing portals.
Yes.
One, if you want to speak on that, what's one great way you can accomplish that with Kajit to kind of decentralize those?
Yes. So we are multi-carrier, but you just pay one provider, and that is Kajit. So you're not paying multiple bills with different due dates. And we can accommodate monthly billing as well.
Yes, awesome. And last two, but certainly not least, lost and unreturned devices and those inconsistent lending periods. What's a great way to streamline those using Sentinel?
So the lost and unreturned, we do have an option where you can mark a device as lost or stolen. Part of that process also involves if the device is found and someone tries to use it, you can customize a message letting the patron know that they need to return the device, and the device will be bricked up, unusable, if it's marked as lost or stolen. Regarding the lending periods, we do have, again, that media center. I keep going back to it, but that is going to be kind of your main kind of favorite place to be in Sentinel, I think. It allows you to set, defined lending periods, and automatically will suspend the device if the device is not returned on the due date, prompting the patron to contact you or bring the device back.
Absolutely. Those are critical features. I'm so glad we get to touch on those and show those today because lost and unreturned devices, I think that will always be a pain point, but we have found that auto suspension is a great way to build that consistency and keep that loss rate down a bit. So thank you for sharing those. Just a quick overview of everything that Grace and I just discussed. We've chatted about Sentinel platform and the features, but just going to highlight a few before Matt shows the live demo. Definitely the automatic suspension, alerts, support. We'll get into support a bit too. But we're super excited to show you these features. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt and give him the screen so that he's going to show you guys a live customer account.
Great. So as Morgan and Grace mentioned, this is our Sentinel platform. So this is really the heart of everything we do. And this is included with all of the plans that you would get from us, whether it's just a SIM card or if you were to buy the equipment with the SIM card, Sentinel is always going to be part of it. And here on the dashboard, there's quite a bit of information that we find to be very helpful for libraries. And the first bit of it here that you see up top is just general usage, right? You can see how much data was used by the devices. Over here on the right, you can see, what time they were used. It was, a weekday, weekend, and then even by day. And what we found from libraries, what we hear is constantly is that these are useful metrics for your return on investment. So when you've got to justify the spend, as we all know, money's tight these days, it's very helpful for them to be able to come in and say, look, we spent X amount of dollars, our patrons checked out devices this many times, and we're online for this many hours. So you can actually quantify what's going on versus just, spending the dollars themselves. And as we continue on down, you can see, your total number of hours online, how many at the account level, and even down to the individual device level. And as we continue down here, we can even get into what we have for the filtering side of things. And one thing we've seen at the library level, generally this is going to be minimal filtering. So we want to take out your basic malware, infected hosts, threat detection, things that would cause some kind of harm. That's kind of the baseline we keep with here. If you do happen to have students, we do have CIPA compliant filtering as well, and we can adjust those depending on the line itself. It's not a one size fits all for everything. So on the dashboard itself, you can see there's quite a bit on the account, but let's talk about the devices. So Grace had mentioned the Media Center. So with Media Center, this is how you check devices in or out. And so one of the things we see too is a lot of times libraries will already have their own ILS. And so this can complement that. We do have a full suite of APIs, and depending on what you have, we can possibly do some integration with that to make it a single integration. But let me kind of walk you through the different statuses we have here. So the first thing you would do when you come in is, I've got a device I want to check it out. So here's one that's checked in. I just simply click on this and say, all right, I want to check the device out. And here's where I would start. So I could put in, say it's a library card ID, whatever identifier you want to have, put in who's going to have it. You select the filter group, right? Like I mentioned, that minimal filtering just to get rid of the threat detection, the malware. You can select that, and then any kind of notes you want to have, right? And then as Grace mentioned, we also have the due date. And what's great about the due date is typically this is 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your individual library. We set this for the date you want it back. And one of the constant things we hear from libraries is it's hard to track these down. There's a lot of devices that are lost or stolen, excuse me, and that's something they manually have to do. So what we do here is if the device is not back by this day, we automatically suspend that device. So that device is bricked up, it's no longer functional. And two things. So in addition to that happen, it also sends you an email to let you know. So now all of that's automated. And the other great thing is if you decide that, that person calls in and says, hey, I want to extend it again, I'll show you how to do that in a second. But likewise, if it is suspended and it turns out you want to unsuspend it, we can do that in real time. So unlike the carriers where it takes, you got to send in an email, fill out a form, takes 20, 40, 48 hours. What we do is we don't deactivate the line. We just shut off the data flow to it. So that can be back online in 3 to 5 seconds. So very, very quickly. So once again, talk about the automation and the ease of use. So let's go to the next example where let's say I've got one that is coming back in. So I take here one that's checked out. And very simply, I would hit check in here and go check in. And now you see it's very simple. I've got notes. And what this could be, we found this to be very helpful, is you might want to comment on the status of the device. Maybe they didn't bring back the charger, they didn't bring back the wall plug, or the case is missing, screen is scratched up. So any kind of notes you want to have in here to note that, this is a great place to do it, right? And then the last one here is the suspended, when I go up here to suspended, you can see this. And let me show you what will happen if we want to extend the due date. So what we do is we come over here to edit, and very, very simply, I would just come here to the due date, and you can see what the current date is. I would just push that out to whatever date I want it to be, and it would go from the suspended status to checked out, and that new date would then just cycle right through there. So very simple, very easy to use. And as I mentioned, these are all done via API as well. So depending on what your ILS is, you'd be able to do this automated from there. So next thing I want to show you is up in managed devices, and Grace hit on this a little bit. So with managed devices, what we've seen has been very helpful with libraries is this is your single portal, the one page within our entire Sentinel system where it includes everything. So all of your devices, regardless of manufacturer, and all of your carriers, regardless of which one you have. So on the carrier side, we typically find that most libraries will have, a mixture, maybe 80% one carrier, 20% another carrier, depending on what your geography is and how that works. But they'll all be here. And as Grace and Morgan mentioned, it's all in a single bill as well. But more importantly, on the equipment side, you can see here what the devices are, right? So here's a V400, here's an 055. As we scroll down a little bit further, you can see here's a W01. So we have a lot of libraries today that will take their existing devices and we put our SIM card in it. So you could have your own equipment that we put our SIM cards in that could work as well, right? And you can see in addition, you've got the IMEI, you've got phone number, you can see the network, you can see the status. And one thing that's very beneficial that was a direct result of customer feedback was we've got this customized view. And what this does, anything that you check shows up, anything that's unchecked does not. And you can drag, drop, and reorder these however you want to have them. So each person in your organization can have their own view however they want to have it, right? So very simple, once again, makes it easy. Another thing I'll mention at this point too is we talked about the different hierarchies. So if you have a single location, if you have multiple locations, we can grant access to different accounts to different people, and we can control what access they have. So one of the big things we see with libraries is there are certain people that they just need media center access, right? So that's all they need to do, and we could give them access for just that. So very simple, very easy to use. And once you get in here to the device, you can see there's some things we can do when you come in. You can look at, say, I want to change the nickname. So this is, who's assigned to that device. You might just have it Loaner 1, Loaner 2, Chromebook 4, whatever it happens to be. This can be anything you want up to 20 characters. So very easy to do that. And then you can also change it. If you have multiple accounts, you can move it between accounts, right? Let me switch out to, let me go to a W01 and I'll show you some of these advanced features. So with the newer devices we've even got some remote features. And when you go here to device settings, we've got the ability based on the device to remotely do a few things. You can reboot the device. You can reboot it. You can factory reset it, and you can even change the SSID and password if you want. So not only can you do this on the individual level, but I'll show you how you can do this at a bulk level too. This was a direct result from a customer. They update their SSID password every year. So having to touch each single one of those individually was a big lift for them. Now they can come in here and do all of them at a single time, right? And so to do that, what we would do is you just select two or more devices, and now we've got this blue box pops up that says bulk actions, and here's all the different features I can do from there. So once again, getting back to that ease of use and automation that Grace and Morgan were talking about, makes it very, very simple, right? Two last things I want to show you. When we come up here to account settings, you come over here to SIM Protect. We are always evolving Sentinel, and we've been doing this for 20 plus years. And one of the things we run into quite a bit is that people will take the SIM card out of the device you give them and put it into, say, a PlayStation or a PS5, something else that they want to try to use the data in. So we launched this SIM Protect feature this past year, back in September. And when this is toggled on, what happens is if you take the SIM card out of the device, we pair the SIM card with the IMEI. And if that SIM card gets taken out, that suspension kicks in. That same suspension we talked about for overdue will now happen for this case. And so that way it's not being authorized use to any other device at all, right? And below that, you can see we've got the opposite. So you've got the ability to update the IMEI. So this would be helpful when you've got the lost or stolen devices. Let's say you've got a cold stock and you want to move an existing SIM card over to it. If you toggle this to on, it would do the opposite. So it would then update the IMEI in the system so it would be current and up to date, right? And then last thing I'll show you is in terms of support, we've got a wealth of support options. And right here from the account, you can come in and submit a case right here. Very simple, very easy. In addition, you can always email us to support@khajiit.com. We've got a huge knowledge base in here too. And we even have a phone number. You can call us and your patrons can call us. So one of the things we found is a lot of times, we take that load off from your shoulders of having to deal with hey, my device isn't working, I can't log in. Those are things that they can call us and we'll take care of. We certainly do not let them make account changes, but any of those device headaches that would take up your time, that's something that we could do as a tier one support. So that concludes Sentinel. Morgan, let me stop sharing and I will pass it back to you.
Thank you for the demo again. Like I said, very, very great overview. I think some of the takeaways here is what does this mean for your library? Less time managing staff devices, just that decreased staff time that you're currently dedicating to your lending program. We can bring that down. I think there's a wider range of kind of a sit it and forget it to a fully managed product. And wherever you fall in that range, we can support you. So more control, more visibility. We hear that quite a bit. And just the ability to scale. Matt can attest to this. We hear it on all of our calls when we're talking to libraries that are not yet customers, and they say, I really want to scale my program. We only have 10 devices now, but we have a wait list that is, 10 or 20 people, long, and we want to be able to support everyone. So the idea behind scaling this back as far as your day-to-day commitment allows you to scale to your community and serve them and making more of an impact. So hopefully there's some takeaways from there as far as scalability. And then that kind of brings us into, before we wrap up, there's a few things I want to cover. Just want to show you a few of the Khajiit solutions that are really making an impact in the library community today. It's just the two that are making the most impact. Grace, do you want to touch on these a bit?
Absolutely. So first we have our Khajiit Smart Spot. As I mentioned earlier, our devices come ready to use. You can see on the left-hand side, there is a case, a quick start guide. So that quick start guide gives your patrons instructions on how to get started with the device. We can also offer that in other languages if needed. So once we ship to you, they're active and ready to go. And it is a multi-carrier, so there's options there to remotely change the carrier if needed. The mobile network kit is another awesome solution. It is a battery-operated kit that includes a router. Many of my libraries use this for community outreach, maybe at farmers markets, on their bookmobiles. This can connect up to 100 users, so it's really awesome for outreach events. Even if you have an area where many of your patrons may not have at-home internet, you could park your bookmobile and have patrons be able to use the internet that way. The other nice thing about this is while it's charging, it can also be kind of a smart failover, if you will. So if your internet goes out, you can actually have it fail over to this device while it's charging its battery. So
Grace, one thing I'll add to that, Grace, we had a call earlier today that was interesting on the mobile
You
network
read
kit.
my mind, Matt.
Yeah, yes. So they were using it for, and you mentioned community outreach. They set theirs up at a job fair. So they were
Oh,
letting people
amazing.
actually apply, look, search on Indeed and apply for jobs right on through the website. I was like, man, that's really
Wow,
cool.
that's wonderful. Yeah,
Matt absolutely read my mind. We were on a call this
Yeah.
morning. They said the same thing. They said that they were able to update resumes in real time. So I thought
that's
that was a really great
incredible.
use case. Very,
Yeah,
very flexible in how you can use it.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
awesome. Um, Before we kind of wrap up today, I do want to leave everyone with a blurb about our connected communities. So Khajiit's Connected Communities, it is for library, nonprofit, schools. We are chatting with libraries today, but letting it know it's for everyone in this space. It does start at $9.99, so please let us know if you're interested. We'd love to be able to connect with you and see how we can help, whether it be refresh your program or start a new one. But just keep in mind, all of our solutions do come with our Sentinel platform at no additional cost. So all those features are included when we're talking about this rate. And just to kind of wrap things up, I do want to throw out some thank yous. Thank you again for Matt and Grace for chatting with me today. I'd also like to send a nice shout out and thank you to Allison Printel from Fauquier County Library in Virginia for allowing us to demo her account. Just awesome data usage. She is an amazing partner and such a great community advocate. Her data speaks for itself. So if you are interested and you do want to hear more, please reach out to us. You can email us at tellus@khajiit.com or scan either of the QR codes on the screen. And we hope to partner with you guys soon. Thank you and have a great day.